Welcome, everybody, to an episode of Gym Life Podcast. This is a bit of a prelude to one of the biggest 105 shows on the planet, if not the biggest 105 kg show on the planet, and that, of course, is Clash on the Coast. With me today is none other than Clash on the Coast's own Tyler Perdue. Thanks for joining me, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe.
You know, we've been trying to put this together for a couple months, but we knew that the time was coming in March because we are quickly approaching what many consider, and I would say probably everybody consider, Clash being the biggest show representing the 105 class on the planet. I imagine your feet are hitting the pavement pretty hard right now getting ready for this, huh?
Oh, 100%, man. Everything's in full swing. Lots of people doing lots of work behind the scenes to make this thing happen. It's nuts to think in 2 weeks it'll be over. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's quickly approaching, you know, and I often remind my listeners when I'm talking about Clash on the Coast that it was one of the most logistically and efficiently run shows that I've ever witnessed. Well, by far, nothing was close to it last year when I was there, and I don't expect to think we're going to see anything different this year. Tightening up the wheels on that or tightening up the screws on that, is there any concerns going into this? Right off the bat, are we going to see anything different this year at Clash that's going to, I guess, for better or for worse? Are there any changes that are being made from a logistical standpoint?
That's a great question, man. I've joked a lot. Like, I had a great staff last year helping with everything. And I love those guys, man. 5 of them qualified to compete. So it's really awesome to see. There's a solid team coming to help again. I have no doubts that they're going to crush it. We're all going to work as a team. And everything is just going to run just as smoothly as last year. Same system.
Okay.
A couple of little tweaks, just because every year in the same place, you kind of learn the layout of the land a little bit better and where things can go and the most efficient ways to do things. But as far as anyone's going to see on the back or on the front end, you won't notice anything different.
Well, I will say you guys had an army of volunteers last year. I was standing in that pit with those guys, getting a lot of camera work done next to Liz Chalet, of course. And we were both mentioning the whole time that was the most impressively run group of volunteers I think any contest has ever seen. To go along with that show, you had literally flights of volunteers coming in and rotating in and out. Wasn't that right?
100%. That's one big thing that I've always tried to focus on is not tiring out volunteers, not working them to death as much as you can, like treating them like humans. And hey, if we have enough to run flights like that, I'm going to do it all day, because it also keeps everyone so fresh that everything just happens how it should. There's no lag time. Everyone stays fresh mentally, physically, the whole 9 yards.
Well, certainly,
it's great that people notice that, because those guys last year, those guys and women just absolutely.
Yeah, we all noticed it, and it certainly was a prerequisite to this show, because without those guys, I don't think the efficiency, the way the show was ran and being so efficient would have even happened. Because you're right, keeping them fresh. The way you guys were switching those events out last year was just, again, if anybody's going to Clash this year, I encourage them to take their eyes off the athletes just for a minute, and just look at the way that this is systematically put together and how efficiently it's run from that kind of standpoint, where you guys are literally ushering people in and out, and you have guys assigned to every athlete to make sure that they're handled correctly, to move them in and out of these events to make for that TV time.
Absolutely. Every athlete has a handler, basically, and every piece of equipment, mat, weight, collar, everything. Somebody knows exactly where it's going when it's going there.
Well, let's talk about ESPN for a minute. This is widely known as the kind of show that's going to keep spreading the love and life of strongman to the rest of the world, as we both talk about frequently outside of podcasts when you and I are just bullshitting about strongman. One of the biggest things we always talk about is lending visibility to the sport and trying to get people on board that otherwise may not know it exists without having the opportunity to see it on a place like ESPN. And this is a super opportunity. I know you're grateful to have them back on board again. How is that going to play out, and how should the viewers out there anticipate watching this show? Do you have any of the particulars on that you can share?
Yeah. So the whole week, we're going to talk about the weekend and each day by day. So there's going to be coverage on it every day. Friday is going to be a live stream. That is going to be ESPN, but it's what's going to be basically like post edit. So we're filming it, and then we're going to edit it up and send it to ESPN for them to run and make it a 1 hour show.
Okay. Yeah.
But there'll be a live stream for that. And thankfully this year, for all of our international international fans, there will be a live stream all 3 days. So ESPN doesn't really exist in Europe. They have no way of watching it last year.
Gotcha.
That has
Yeah.
been remedied. Saturday, 1:00 is going to be ESPN. It's going to be live. It is a 1 to 3 time block. That's it. There is no going past 3:00. So we will be starting right at 1. Can't start before then. We will be ending at 3. Again, that one's going to be, we're being told 2 different things. I believe that's going to be ESPN 3 and then 2 later that evening. There's some things with March Madness going on that I'm not sure we know exactly which one it is just yet. The second there's one confirmed, then I'll be happy to share with everyone exactly where. But by that weekend, we'll know exactly what channel or how to find it. Gotcha. on a cable. And then, of course, the live stream is going to be in the exact same place as it was for the first day.
So ultimately, you've just added another layer to the visibility of this because now you're being able to broadcast this overseas with the live stream. And again, you had mentioned that didn't, of course, happen last year. There was a huge audience lost out on that.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest, I say constructive criticism points that I heard a lot, and it's super fair.
Yeah.
We have international athletes. So how are their fans, family, whoever is back home supposed to watch them if ESPN's not even an option?
Yeah.
Like back home.
Right.
So
which is crazy. I didn't even know that. Yeah, it's nuts.
Dude, I didn't either until people told me, and I was like, oh, okay. ESPN doesn't exist in this area or that area. So interesting. So there's a big focus point. Like, we've got to have it on a live stream for people to watch it overseas.
Well, I certainly think no matter what, we can all appreciate the timely nature of seeing live streams and seeing recordings being put out. We got so used to in this sport watching World's Strongest Man 8 months after it actually took place that in today's day and age, at that point it's mute because we've seen so much on social media. We're almost, if we're not seeing this on live stream, we're virtually seeing it real time. And all that social media is going to do is kind of lend to the pageantry of really what we see down there in South Carolina. Because in all honesty, I don't know if you looked around this year or not, or you just knew right away you're going back to the same spot. But I don't think anybody can complain about that location.
Yeah, dude, it's from athletes to volunteers to the people on the island to us. Like, there's really no complaining about that location. The only complaint I have is, my goodness, there is no ride share.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, it's awesome. You can walk everywhere.
Everywhere you can walk. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that ride share issue, it's great.
Well, listen, and for those of you that didn't have a chance to make it down, that are getting down there this year or are considering it at some point, listen, that tiki bar right next door, that's a fun place to hang out at night. Listen, even the poolside tiki bar there right at the hotel, I mean, you want to talk about rubbing shoulders with these athletes and having some fun with these guys and their families. I appreciated that. That was probably one of the biggest highlights last year, of course, was that after party. And we'll get to that here in a second. But the athlete list, you and I had made mention of this a couple times. I have on my show more than once. Outside of, I think, maybe 2 guys or 1 anyhow, because the other one wasn't going to make it again by default anyhow. This is the exact same lineup as last year, plus add another 10 monsters to this list. And ultimately, we're seeing 30. What do we got? 30 total competitors. Is that what we're looking at, Tyler?
Yeah, right now, 31.
31. Okay. Yeah, and we can all argue easily that they're the best the 105ers that we could put in that 31-man lineup, albeit, I will say, we're a little bit shy on the international contingency this year, but to no surprise, it's difficult for these guys to travel around. But here in the state side of things, I think we lined everybody up that should be there is going to be participating.
Yeah, most definitely. There's a couple. There's always going to be hey, I'd like to see this guy or that guy there. Some people have visa issues. We ran into the same thing last year. Like, yeah, it's out of some of these guys' hands. A couple of guys dropped out. They tried to get visas, they couldn't. But yeah, I mean, this is a lineup. As objectively as I can say in my position, like, it doesn't want for much. Like, it's got the best of the best coming to really see who the best is.
Yeah, and that's the big enigma of the sport, really. I mean, as much as, and it's just because we're super fans, right? And we see outside the boundaries of the United States when it comes to how great the competitors are out there. And the big dream of everybody's, whether it's the 105 class, the 64 women, the 90 men, we all dream of seeing all these people in the same spot. And it's a difficult thing to pull off logistically, of course, with the way the world works. But I would say, without a doubt, nobody's gotten closer than Clash in representing that type of athlete lineup at that level. That's a fact. The big question for you is, because Colin Bryce is listening to this right now. He listens to all my podcasts. I don't know if you knew that or not. He takes cues from me. How did you put together your? And I know you told Yanni this, but I want everybody to hear this more than once, because you told me kind of briefly how you put together the qualifiers, because it's so important to maintain a level of fairness with those. Give me the nuts and bolts of it.
Yeah. I think, for the record, I think World's Strongest Man put out something saying kind of how they did it. But how I did it is I wanted to be as objective as possible. And, because nobody gets invited to this show, everyone qualifies. And they qualified under either in-person, online. We had in-person in the United States, we had online, and then we also had international qualifiers. So what I did is I took the podium from last year's Clash that qualified, and I took all of the first place podium finishers of the domestic qualifiers, and it was 10 of them. And what I did is I got one of those number randomizers that you can put, and I just assigned numbers to each of these 10 guys. And I just threw them into a randomizer and randomized it into 5 groups of 2. And whoever landed wherever is where they landed. And then I did it with all of the first place, like the online, all the international ones. Did the same thing. Assigned them numbers, put them in a randomizer, 5 different groups, and then it filled in the next slots. Then I did second places, and then I did third places. Third places, and then the alternate list from our online qualifier fell into the same boat or category. Right. And so if anyone's here, you can also kind of look at the heats, and you can almost get an idea of who finished where if you start at the top left and go down.
Yeah, I did actually do that after you and I discussed that, and it does kind of start to speak to you a little bit on how that was put together. And I don't think, listen, I don't think there's any fairer way to do it. It's never a perfect system, but at least there's some effort put forth there. And I think we can all appreciate that, because moving forward, if we're going to have these types of show that are going to represent these classes at that level, qualifying is a necessary evil to that, to get to that final day. I think we can all appreciate that format for sure. Lynn does a great job of that at OSG. You're doing a great job of that. World's Strongest Man, jury's still out in my opinion, but that's another show. But you know what I'm saying? I think ultimately the qualifier is necessary. So I love the step that you took here to give everybody a real subjective look at, or an objective look at that. And I think you did a good job, man. That's a great way to lay it out. So for those of you out there listening, no favorites being played here.
Not at all, man.
So let's talk about the celebs you're going to have here, right? Your celebs. Of course, in our community, everybody's friend, but ultimately there's some great pros that you're going to have there hanging out with everybody, and you're going to be judging. I know last year that was a lot of fun because Nick Best was there, of course. Who else do we have? We had Maxine was there, of course.
Yeah,
Evan was there. Who do you got coming this year?
Yeah, so we got none other than Bobby Thompson being the head judge. Yep. And he actually judged at the Clash 91 show, and no one had a complaint. He's one of the best judges I've ever seen. I'm super, super thankful that he's able to come down, especially right between Arnold's and Worlds. He's given a lot to come down here and be a really good judge. Very fair, very objective.
Listen, there's no guy riding higher in the planet right down to Bobby. I know you guys have all seen my clips out there of Bobby. I don't think there's a bigger fan than me out there of Bobby right now. I think that's awesome that he's there. I look forward to seeing him. So good for him showing up there and representing. I love that because he's a busy man right now.
Yeah, he's very busy. The next one is going to be Nikolai Myers, Uncle Nick. He's
sure.
Again, super thankful he's coming down. He's a great judge. He helped at this show as well. He's got great energy and he cares.
Absolutely.
He really does truly care. The other judge for the men, I couldn't be happier, is Greg Popejoy. Just a no nonsense, no BS guy who wants to do a good job. He's fair.
Old school pro right there, right? I mean,
yeah. Dude, I couldn't be any happier with those three. And then for the women, Corey Butler's coming down to judge.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. And I got to watch her firsthand judge at America's Strongest Woman in Vegas in December. And it's what made me decide to ask her. Because I was watching her I always watch the judges when I'm helping people compete, and I'm always watching everything. I was helping Olga. And I was watching Corey. I was like, I wonder if she'd come down and judge a Clash. That's how impressed I was at her judging at America's Strongest Woman.
Tyler, I love that honestly, I love that. I was not expecting that that there's actually thought put into how well you appreciated the judging component of these guys. Because a lot of
Absolutely.
people don't do that, Tyler. Let's face it. They just
Yeah.
grab guys because they're a big name or they're a friend of a friend. And, but listen, we're all getting kind of frustrated to some degree with standards of the sport when it comes to judging. So certainly at the highest level shows, if we're not taking it as seriously as you just laid it out to me and how you vetted the people that you wanted to be there, then we've got some bigger issues at hand in the strongman community. So I love to hear that.
Yeah, I don't think there should be any other way that it's done. I don't care how big of a name you are. Honestly, I care how good of a judge you are. I'd rather you become a big name because you were a good judge than be a big name and just be a judge because you're.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's not
absolutely.
a knock on anybody, for the record. That's just a general statement.
No, I'll knock those on my I'll knock those guys on my next show. I won't let you do it. Get your hands all dirty. Don't worry. What about your announcers? I know Yanni's going to be doing some. Is he commentating for you?
So Yanni is our MC. He is
Okay.
probably the most energetic, awesome MC.
He is. Yes.
And then we got Big Laws coming to commentate.
Okay.
He was awesome last year. We're super thankful to have him. Can't wait for him. Liz is coming too, which is great. The other commentator, we are working on it. I don't want to say it and jinx it because I think we have another really awesome person coming. Just the superstition in me doesn't want to put it out there until it's.
I hear you.
But I'm excited for the possibility of her coming as well to be a commentator.
Her. Okay. All right. Nice.
Doing what we can.
Yeah, I like it. Well, listen, Big Laz is always he's the he's the company man. And when it comes to strongman community, everybody loves a good British announcer, and boy, he pulls it off like no other.
Best.
Absolutely best. And having Liz there, of course, behind the scenes is going to lend to a ton of social media presence, which I know that's a big thing on your end as well. You and I have discussed that, and lending a different layer to these competitions now, above and beyond kind of where they've been in the past, where there's a prelude to all these shows, and then a sort of a day of type of buzz as well, getting everybody kind of looking in the direction of Clash on the Coast. Not that they weren't last year. Right. But I think there's a more choreographed effort here that's being put forward to make that happen this year on a different level.
Absolutely. We're actually working on some things this week. So next week is just going to be, can't miss it. And I do think that more people like you, Joe, need to realize when Liz is around, she's doing so much. Everyone just talks about Laws, and Laws is great.
No, I know.
Liz doesn't stop moving, I swear. And she does such awesome interviews with people. It's great. We're going to have several people there doing stuff like that. We forgot to talk about you specifically being there as well.
Yeah.
The amount of it going on is really exciting.
Yeah, it's great to have everybody that's lends to like this complete package. You know what I mean? And I think ultimately we cheer the community on, we cheer the strongman athletes on, but we also really cheer good promotions on in the United States. And I think we can all come together. If not for every one of them, as many as we can try to participate in to help lend to this effect, of course. But yeah, though, I tell you what, man, I don't know who's more excited about this, you or me, but I know that I know the way your brain works. We talked a lot at the Arnold Classic. You just mentioned it earlier. There's all this good stress that's taking place right now. And that, of course, has got your mind in a very focused direction.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I wasn't stressed, I'd probably an indicator that something wasn't going right or I didn't care or something like that. It would be really weird. But yeah, no, stress is usually quite a privilege, as our good friend would say.
Yes.
Pressure is privilege, and I think that that's absolutely where it's at right now. Things are in a really good spot, almost too good of a spot. I'm almost kind of like, what's going to happen? Where's the curveball going to be last second? I'm kind of
well, that's called being prepared a little bit too, right? So yeah. You're always ready for Plan B in case you need it. Any issues with the athletes that you know of right now? Anybody out there that's got a hold of you and said, hey, I'm a little dinged up, might not make it, or does everything look pretty solid right now?
Man. I mean, everyone's dinged up at a certain point at this level.
That's true. That's a silly thing to say, isn't it? Yeah.
But anybody that's been dinged up more than normal has not done it.
Okay, good.
They might have talked amongst themselves, but I have received so far, I have no inclination that someone's going to pull out because of an injury.
That's a good feeling, man, when you're in that home stretch and everybody's feeling good and they're all going to make it. I want to talk about the girls lineup for a minute because it's often overlooked. I don't think we talk about it enough. And, And I've mentioned there's a lot of things I don't talk about enough, and I need to start getting in the habit of doing that more because the Clash, of course, is associated with the 82s,
Absolutely.
which was a big, big show, part of that show last year. Certainly the record breakers and what Hannah Lindsay and Melissa and Nadia and all these, well, these are the who's who, right? We're just listed three of them right there. What I really love about the 82s this year is this was a bit of a new crop coming up. Obviously, Melissa's going to be there to try to defend her title. But according to that lineup, there's a lot of impressive new 82s that are coming up through Clash this year. And I've taken a look at a few of them. I can't wait to watch them compete. I love that for our sport because, again, we're growing. Give me kind of your take on that 82 class and how you put it together and how you're going to see it unfold.
Oh, man. I mean, fortunately, how it was put together was people objectively qualified again. There's no heats for this one, so there was no need.
Right.
I really am excited for the sheer amount of like new people coming into it and stepping up. I got to firsthand see the qualifier in Jersey that a few of these ladies came from. Sue, Sophia, and Kaylin. One of the things I'm the most excited about is there's a 17-year-old that qualified for this thing. Like, honestly, in person against adults qualified for this
Crazy.
thing.
What's her name?
Sophia Sharp.
Okay.
It's funny. The one funny side about that is there's going to be two people there that have the last name Sharp and an American flag. So it's going to look like Tommy and Sophia have double the fans.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because their shirts are going to look the same. Also, I'm super excited to see Summer come back. Not a lot of people really know who Summer is, and they're gonna be reminded because Summer's an OG pro. I don't know what it was. Summer decided it was going to be fun to come back and do the open class as America's Strongest Woman right. as a middleweight and hold her own. Her and then obviously, anytime Jody Kennedy shows up for a competition, she's ready to go. She asked me 6 million questions, but that's fine. I'd answer everything. Yes. She's going to show up. She's going to give it everything. I think she just loaded a massive 300-pound stone. So I'm really excited to see where that goes too. And we got a fair amount of women coming from overseas. Claire just won the over 50s at OSG. So I've been joking, Eliza. We got someone over 50 and 17. And there's a lot in between.
There's a big age gap there. I love it. And there's a lot of color to this lineup, like you just mentioned. Got some new.
Jessica's coming back from last year too. You can never count her out of anything.
No. And Jody really is intriguing to me. I'm glad you brought her name up. I had a chance, of course, I've met her a couple times through Taylor, of course, and I can't wait to see him as well. One of my good friends in the sport, one of my favorite guys ever. I'll be honest, but awesome. Yeah, he is. But Jody, so soft spoken. I'm excited about watching her as well. So yeah, you kind of just fired me up thinking about that lineup a little bit. It's very interesting. It's a little bit old, a little bit of new, a little bit of, anyhow, I can finish that analogy, but ultimately that's going to be a fun one as well. And I want to shed light on that because that also is that going to be a live streamed event, ESPN? How are you going to showcase that?
So they actually last year, based on everything and how well they did and how well they've shown up, they're live on ESPN this year.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, then let's make mention of that. Yeah. Shit, that's big news. Yeah. Live on ESPN for the 82 women. That's awesome. We know how much we love our women's contingency in the sport. Giving them a little bit more light in the public eye like that's going to be big time for them. They need it, right? I mean, they're most popular on the planet right now.
Pretty much, yeah. And they earned it too. It's not about, I try to keep the frame in my mind is we're not giving them anything. They earned it, and that's why they have it.
Absolutely, they did. Sure. Some would argue right now they're holding the sport together, and I might agree with that. Anything else you want to add real quick, Tyler, to this? Because I'm going to get this out there, of course. I'm sure I'm going to leave kind of an open end to this because anybody listening to this that has any questions as far as Clash on the Coast this year is concerned, they, of course, could find you at Clash SBS on Instagram, right? And or Primal Strength. Is that it?
Yeah, is a primal_strength_you.
Was I not supposed to give that out? I mean, everybody knows that's you. Okay.
Yeah. The Clash page is the easiest one. But yeah, I mean that my Instagram is also perfectly fine.
Okay, good. I'm
a very big question guy. I don't know you want to know something until you ask me.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, just a fair one of everyone, if you ask me, you're gonna get the honest answer. Whatever the honest answer is, you're gonna get it.
Well, I think we've covered just about everything, and certainly over the last few months, with everything else that's been kind of lent to this sort of what's going on, how we're doing it, what changes this and that. And, of Of course, I know that you were just on Yanni's podcast as well the other day, and I imagine anybody else that wants to lend to this is going to be calling you up as well, and hopefully getting you on so we get more of our community and beyond involved in, again, what I consider one of the mainstays of the sport of strongman right now, which is Clash on the Coast 105 class. So, yeah, without any further ado, brother, I'll give you the final word, and I'm going to post this, and of course, everybody out there, get ready for a great Clash on the Coast this year.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I appreciate you having me on. It's always great talking to you. I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is how, after the past year with Clash and all the ups and the downs, is how a lot of the community has been extremely supportive, and healthily skeptical on some ends. But I'm really proud that we've been able to get to a point where the show is viable. People are excited for it. It's happening. It's been nothing but a team effort. It's not just myself. You got Ryan doing some things. You got a lot. I mean, there's a guy, Bo, you guys will all see. He's helped at so many shows. Like I said, the whole team, man. Bobby, everybody that's coming. I'm just excited there's enough people after everything that are super happy to help this and see it to where it should be. Is probably the biggest testament to what Clash has been as a whole over time.
Yeah, and that's a beautiful way to end it, because you're right. And I think it goes without saying, although we all put Tyler Perdue as the face of Clash of the Coast right now, there's a big contingency of people that are a part of that team that makes up Clash as a whole. Let's not forget about them. But you're right. We're going to get a chance to see them all down there. We're going to meet them. We're going to have some fun with them. In the meantime, I bet you not a one of them's complaining that you got to do this shit the whole time when they can take care of the other stuff. So,
yeah, I don't think they're complaining about this part at all. Yeah, man, I'm always a big. It's not just one person; it's a team. I'll tell everyone I'm nothing without the people that come help in sport. Period.
I think we can all agree. We all feel the same way. We're all in the same boat. So, all right, Tyler, I'm gonna let you go, man. I know you're a busy man. I will catch up with you here within a few days, and get ready for Clash of the Coast, everybody. It's coming your way. See you here soon. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Joe.